Hi everyone, this is Nancy. I finished creating this update in February, but I had a painful right arm from all the dragging and carrying and hefting of heavy boxes and furniture around the house, so I stayed off the laptop to let those muscles calm down a bit. But we're settled in for the most part, and here is what has transpired since my last update. After buying our house in November, we called our shipping company and told them to send the container with our household goods. There was no guarantee it would reach us before the new year, as it had to leave storage in San Jose, then get on a train, then go across the United States, depart on a ship out of the East Coast, dock at the Oslo harbor, and then clear customs before it could be delivered to our address. But what a piece of Christmas luck! The container arrived at our place on December 22nd, and the crew unloaded it that day. They returned the next day to assist with unpacking and putting furniture in its correct rooms. The top left picture is a bit deceiving, as our goods filled over 80% of the container. The lower left picture is Terry chatting with the driver as we waited for the moving crew. Here the crews arrived, and they immediately began putting down protected blue mats all over the house. In the upper left picture is the crew's supervisor. He was so friendly and accommodating. We really enjoyed working with him. Unfortunately, I don't remember his name. It was a multicultural crew. On the left is one of the crew who is originally from Vietnam. On the top right is what I'm calling an indigenous Norwegian, meaning he was born here, his parents were born here, his grandparents, and on and on. In the lower right-hand corner and on the floor is a fellow from Bali. I'm sure his Balinese is impeccable. He could speak Norwegian very well, and his English could be understood. So that's 3 languages under his belt. That's quite admirable as far as I'm concerned. And I have to tell you a story about indigenous Norwegian. Before I actually met Terry in person, we were talking on the phone and I asked, who were the original indigenous people of Norway? He paused and then said, well, that would be me. I then realized what a stupid question it was. I just want to share that this young man carried our big lounge chair, pictured on the right, from the container parked across the road, up the stairs to the house, through the entryway, and into the living area by himself. I commented to him that I was pretty impressed, and he said, it's a good job to have right now, and I'm going to the gym, but I have to report for my required military service in a couple of months, and I want to be strong. So being called into the military here is a lottery. They start calling up new recruits from the new crop of young men and women who have reached the age of 18, but they don't call up more than they need. So you don't know if you'll be called up or not. On Christmas Eve day, we were absolutely surrounded by boxes waiting to be opened. That was okay. We worked through most of the day, but stopped mid-afternoon to make the traditional ribba dinner with all the trimmings, including an aquavit toast. Getting that container was a huge Christmas gift. Before we were unpacked, Fredrikstad and Kokroy, where we live, is a section of Fredrikstad, received an unprecedented snowfall. Everyone was marveling at the early storm, which dropped so much snow. It did it again about a week later, and here I am shoveling unprecedented snow. The biggest challenge is finding a place to put the snow because we have a vertical backyard. The house is snugged up against a 3-story rock. Since those storms, the weather has normalized to rain or sleet or light snow. For the most part, it stays just above freezing, but there have been days when it's below freezing, and then the city is a skating rink. It was getting late that day, but I got the job done on both the upper deck and a lower side deck. And I cleared another deck and its stairs in the front. and Terry was out in the street digging out the car. We live along the Glumma River, which is inhabited by swan families. We walk every day as we're within 10 to 15 minutes of almost any shopping or errand running we need to do. There are exceptions, of course, but that is 75% true. Thus, we see these swans, of which there are typically 2 to 4, in this boat landing almost every time we walk by. This picture was taken from the footbridge that connects Krokoi, which is an island, to mainland Fredrikstad. That's Krokoi on the left and Fredrikstad mainland on the right, and we live on the Krokoi island. So here people are disembarking from the electric ferry, which stops at many of the neighborhoods along the river, and it is free to ride. While there's not a lot of boat activity on the river in the wintertime, we do see some interesting vessels. The top left is a fire and ambulance vessel. The bottom left is a vessel that comes to your rescue if your boat is sinking, and they do go out in any kind of weather, day or night. The vessel on the right is a floating gas station for the hundreds of pleasure and serious fishing vessels that ply the river, many of them on their way to the open ocean. We've explored Norwegian cuisine beyond our standard ribba expertise. On the left is cooked cod roe in its egg sac. It's in season from January through February and is considered a delicacy. Here it is called torskerugn, and I can't pronounce rung correctly. Anyway, it was good. You slice the rung and then you fry it in butter. We had it on crackers and it was good. It is very mild, not fishy at all, and anything fried in butter is a winner as far as I'm concerned. I bought the cooked rung the first time, but bought it raw the second time. You wrap the egg sac tightly in like parchment paper and then tie it up tight. Then you set it in boiling water, turn the heat down to a bare simmer for about 30 minutes. It was a success, but I didn't add enough salt. The recipe said to add a quarter cup of salt to the water, and I was afraid to do that. But it would have been fine. Next year, I will add the full quarter cup. I packed my tortilla press and a bag of masa harina in the container. We bought some pork shoulder and had carnitas one night. There is no masa harina here, and the only tortillas and tortilla chips I can get are Old El Paso. They've bought up all the shelves. You can also get their salsas, dips, and beans, but I don't really care for the brand. Things have changed since I was here 20 years ago. At least now there are Mexican Tex-Mex products, and also many Indian and Asian products, and a lot of international frozen meals now in the stores. We've had visitors. On the left is our sister-in-law Kari and her sambur, Jan Arna. They visited and I remembered to take a picture. On the right side picture is Terry's cousin Steiner, Steiner's wife Anna, and Steiner's sister Wenke. Wenke is also Terry's cousin. They visited and I snapped a picture. Terry, Steiner, and Wenke had not seen each other since they were young adults in their early 20s. There was a lot of catching up and a lot of remembering. Also, Terry's daughter Tina and her sambur Alexander visited, but I forgot to take pictures. Tanya, Terry's oldest daughter, and her family visited, and I forgot to take pictures. Truls, Terry's son and his family visited, and I forgot to take pictures. So I guess next time. Okay, and for those who do not know what is meant by sambur, it is a relationship, which means you live together but are not married. But the relationship has certain legal aspects to it that I don't have enough information about it to explain. So sambur. I finally ventured out about a month ago and drove the car to a shopping center about 15 minutes away. I've hesitated to do so because I had to get reacquainted with the driving rules and the many, many multi-lane roundabouts, and they can be a bit freaky to venture into. And I just don't know my way around here yet. But as it was, I've driven multiple times now, and each time was a success. Like I've mentioned before, no garage. This is our parking spot. Besides driving, I contacted an international expat Facebook group, which meets regularly, about once a month, I believe. But two ladies who live nearby reached out to me to meet for coffee. I met with Rhonda, who is originally from Texas, on February 17th for coffee, and Hyacintha, originally from India, for coffee on February 18th. Both women were very interesting people. They've each lived in multiple countries in the world. We invited Rhonda and her husband to dinner. It was a very fun evening. They are great people. Hyacintha and I will get together again soon. She has some family issues from back in India, and as soon as that's wrapped up, we are going to get together again. We also walked to the Frederiksstad Library and got our library cards. The library has a small selection of English titles, small in comparison to the rest of the library anyway, and I haven't really explored it, and I haven't been back since this. But on Thursdays, the library hosts a conversation and coffee session in the afternoon. I understand each meeting has a theme in which there is a discussion around that theme in Norwegian. I did go once and it was interesting, but I right now don't have the energy for language lessons in a group right now. There are still too many other things to take care of at the moment, and to study Norwegian, I need more energy than I can master up right now. On our way to a nearby grocery store, we cut through a parking lot that has a Bob Marley sculpture. Find it pretty interesting. On Sunday, February 12, the temperature was near 50 degrees Fahrenheit and there was beautiful sunshine. So we took advantage of such good weather and walked to Isegran, which is an old fortress town. The buildings are museums now, including some very nice homes, which had to be housing some rather well-to-do families at the time. One section of Isegran is devoted to increasing awareness of all the plastic and other garbage thrown into the ocean. As such, volunteers in the Hope organization built Hope's Cathedral, and I don't think I pronounced that right, which means Hope Cathedral, which is pictured here in this slide. It is entirely constructed of ocean garbage to teach people about the problem, but also how to live an environmentally sustainable life. The cathedral and the other museum buildings are not open in the winter, so we just peeked into the windows. Here we're back at the house, and I've tried several different camera angles around the house to provide a sense of the height of our vertical backyard, and I haven't had much success. So this is the best shot so far, taken from the stairway to the second floor. So hopefully you can see how far up this backyard goes. Our house was originally built in 1863, but was remodeled in 2008. In the remodel, they left some of the original wood planks exposed from what was the outside walls. On the right, you can see the planks and a window. I'm not sure if the window was originally a window or maybe a door. In any case, it's an interesting feature. The window looks directly into the kitchen. It's weird, but it's kind of charmingly weird. On the left is what is now the master bedroom and bathroom. It was originally another building on the property, and it was probably a woodshed and for storing tools, stuff like that. In the 2008 renovation, the two buildings were connected through what is now the entryway to the house. And one of the features of this entryway is a plexiglass ceiling. Okay, we are finally unpacked and organized downstairs. We are mostly unpacked and organized upstairs, but not quite. Currently, we've put everything upstairs that we don't know what to do with. We're probably going to rent a small storage space to clear the last of our items from the second floor. It's nice to have Terria's paintings on the wall. It makes it feel like home. This little room is called a winter garden or vinterhagen in Norwegian. It's meant to be used year-round, and you can, with a nice blanket wrapped around your legs. Notice that it is here, in this picture it was mid-February, and the grass is still green, as is the English ivy climbing on the rocks. Dandelions, while not blooming, are still green and alive. So I went down and I picked a leaf and tasted it, and yes, and indeed, it was a dandelion. I guess this is normal here, but it's new to me. Now it is March as I record this, and things are still pretty green. And the crocus are up, and something called the Vietvice and the Blowvice, which are also spring flowers, are up. So it's not a bad climate. Today, as I record, we are expecting snow again tomorrow. So it's winter here, just like in other places. So here I've just included some shots from the winter garden. And lastly, here's our kitchen. It has a character also. The workspaces are in 3 separate sections. After living here for a while, we realized that whoever did the renovation decided to work with the original building rather than tearing it down and building new, so they worked the kitchen into the spaces available. It's not the most effective use of space, but I'm getting used to it. Note the window looking into the entryway. Not sure that I like that chair in that position, but I do like that window feature there. By the way, to save money, we packed our own household goods, and we did an exceptional job. 10,000 miles across land and sea, and nothing broke. Not one object, not one glass, plate. Of all the fragile things that we packed, it all came across here in wonderful condition. So we're real happy about that. Well, as the rabbit says, that's all, folks. I'll keep in touch.